I am standing across the street from Main Street, and now I'm going to run across the street, so it might get a little jumpy, but if I don't take the chance, then I won't get over. But anyway, that was what the church looks like from across the street. It's a big building. And here's our big sign, our original sign, and then the cornerstone, which was laid in 1890. The church was finished being built in 1892, and that's when we occupied it. Now this is the front of the building. It was added on in the 1990s so that we could be accessible. There's the ramp and elevator, which takes you to all floors so that anybody can get to any place in the church. So this is what you see if you come in the front entrance. We have some bulletin boards. Our mission is making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world, and how we do it is reaching out with a warm heart and making a difference. Now, as we go up here, we are approaching the sanctuary. And as we come in here, you can see several rows of pews. The sanctuary looks very much like it did when the building was first built. It was, these aren't the original pews or the original carpet. It was restored in the early 1950s to look as it was, to take it back to what it looked like originally. And even though some construction has taken place in the back, which is a little different than what it used to look like, but I'll show you that in a little bit. This is the altar. Behind it is the organ. It's a pipe organ. The pipe organ is behind this edifice, and there you have the cross. So as you look at the front of the church from the seats, this is what you see. And of course, right now we have a whole bunch of microphones and speakers and everything else up front so that we can put this same camera in front of us while we record worship on to be able to upload so that the people who are unable to come to church can see it on Sunday. And we're going to continue this once we begin meeting in person. What we're trying to sort out is how we can have better resources for what we're trying to accomplish. Anyway, here's the grand piano. Our organist plays both piano and organ, and he just does whichever works best with the music that he's trying to play. His name's Don Krug. As we come over here, this is what the sanctuary looks like from my view. And we used to fill up the sanctuary. We used to have 3 services. We had about probably 800 people in on a Sunday, but 1,300 members. Now we average about 75, 80. And sometimes it's as low as 60, sometimes it's as high as 90, but it varies. But when you look out here, what we're going to try to do when we do in-person worship is split our service in 2, so we have fewer people in here and we can socially distance. We'll use this side for 1, and then the second service we'll just move our speakers over here. Or not the speakers, the sound comes out of the people who are speaking, and we'll use this side of the sanctuary, and that way we can use both pretty close together and not have to sanitize in between. Then I'm going to take you to the back of the back of the church into the narthex, and this is where we gather for cookies and coffee after worship. People gather there either before or after, and when we're able to do that, we'll return to that practice. And then here is a prayer room, which is used just for that. Sometimes people just sit back here so that they can have a private conversation. It's often used as a rest area when we have memorial services so that people can just kind of get away from the people, from all the visitors if they're tired. And I go back there sometimes and just pray. And this other room is a storage room for the flowers. We have a woman that comes in and decorates the altar for us. And so she keeps all her things in there. Now as we go out here, whoops, I'm going to close the door. I'm going to come upstairs. The upstairs is primarily used by children and youth. We do have the sound system is up here as well. And we have two people, David Swihart and Stacia Bonifant, who provide us with media expertise. But the youth, when it's a small group, will meet in this area. They like it, especially in the summer, because it's air conditioned and much cooler than the youth area, which is not. And we've looked into air conditioning it, and it's just a little bit above our budget. And then we have the gym. Gym has been here since they built the education wing. And the kids, the youth will play. The youth, when I say youth, I'm thinking 3rd grade and higher. But the youth will come up here and play foursquare, dodgeball, or basketball, or whatever else we're doing. A lot of activities that require space. And then we also have all this preschool equipment, because the preschool doesn't have a grassy area to play in. So this is where we bring them so that they can have runaround time during the school year. Now this is one of the classrooms for the youth when we need a smaller space and we want to sit down and have a table. And then as you go upstairs, we have the loft, or we call it the fox den, and this is the other youth area. So depending on what we're doing, we don't have 6 million youth groups, but depending on what we're doing, here's their handprints, here's some photos. That's their relaxation area, but depending on what we're doing, we use different spaces. So the youth here are not neglected and overlooked as far as space is concerned. It's a well-designed area to keep them occupied. Now, I'm going to take you over here to the chapel. And the chapel, we use this area we've used it in the past. Right now, we're not doing children's church because the kids, we have worship that's kind of youth-centered in the second service before we change things. But we have kind of a youth-oriented second service, and then the kids would go right to Sunday school. But in the past, they have had children's church, and before Sunday school, they might gather here and do some music, and it's kind of churchy. But we're thinking about doing or designing some movable pews, furniture that can change what it looks like, so that this can be used as a chapel when it needs to be used as a chapel. And we have had small weddings in here, just so that it doesn't, if you only have 20 guests, there's no reason to fill up a space that holds 350. But we think that if we can change the seating in here to things that are like the chairs that are movable, then maybe we can use this space a little bit more for small groups, meeting spaces, Sunday school, and all those sorts of things. All right, so I'm gonna walk. Now that's the upstairs. There's a couple more classrooms that I haven't shown you because they're mostly storage area, and you can take a look at those when you have time. But then we're gonna go downstairs, and I'll show you the other children's area. That was the youth area. And downstairs we have our preschool, which is our year-round preschool, well, September to April preschool. And then we also have Sunday school classes down here as well. And I'm using the stairs rather than the elevator because it's just dark in the elevators and lonely. So this is, back here is one of the Sunday school classrooms. And preschool. We use it for both. And so it's a multi-use room. And so when our morning classes where we have 3 to 5 year olds, 3 to 4s come in one classroom, and then the 5-year-olds come in another. And so this is a preschool room. And then of course our younger elementary classroom, is in here, because it looks like a space that they would like to use, doesn't it? It's very colorful, lots of things to do. So this is where we have our I think it's our lower or upper elementary, so that would be our second, third, fourth, fifth graders. I don't actually teach Sunday school, so I don't remember everything exactly age-wise. But then we have our We have another Sunday school room, and this is used exclusively for Sunday school. And I don't remember if this one's used for the 3-year-olds through kindergarten, first, second grade, somewhere in there. But one of these two rooms is used for the lower, and the other is used for the upper age group. And then we have a nursery here, and the nursery is staffed. We use volunteers when we have to, but we don't rely on volunteers all the time because it takes a lot of work. No, it's not about the work, really. It's better to have one person who's trained and knows the policies and has had a police background check in here. And she also takes the responsibility of cleaning and sanitizing all the toys and equipment. So we appreciate her. Her name's Sarah. She comes in on Sundays and works both services. And then as we keep going down the hallway, we're getting into, this is the main preschool room. And there is a restroom here, and during the day, during the week when the preschool's in, this door is closed and locked. But on Sundays and during the evenings when the church is being used for outside groups, it's open and available so that people who are using the basement have access to a restroom. And then this is the preschool, the other preschool room. Tammy Walters is our director of preschool. She does a really good job. Her two assistants are Rhonda Bootson and Colleen Murphy. But they have lots of toys. But again, Cammy takes the responsibility to clean and sanitize the toys and everything, and then we have a custodian who comes in and cleans the mops. He has a daily and a weekly schedule. And this is where they would check in. So that's that's the educational hallway. This is what we usually consider the education wing, and it was built in the 1950s. Then you come over to this side and you get back to the original building. And in the original building, all these brick walls are here because this was actually the outside of the building then. And but here's the basement. Everyone loves the basement, but this is our fellowship hall. We can close these partitions and have two separate rooms. That's my history project over there. And then we have a nice kitchen, and I'll let you see it now. That's the kitchenette. That's what the Breakfast Club uses that for their coffee. And we're very dark. Now we're not so dark. So it's a big, large, commercial grade kitchen. We don't do a lot of meals here, but we could if we wanted to. We just have to have the health department come in and inspect. And then if you're looking for Pepsi, if you're a Pepsi drinker, we do have a Pepsi machine. We stock it ourselves. So if you don't like the flavors in there, you can always request Mallory to get what you like. And the library. This is really the meeting room. It's a library because it's got all these books in it, and a woman named Frances Lease organized them. Now the UMW does. Frances Lease is still alive, but she's in one of the local nursing homes. But you have some history, some pictures of the church as it was, and some other things. But we have our meetings in here, our Bible studies. At one point there was a Sunday school class that met in here, and there may be a time when they meet again. You have more historical things you can look at when you have time. But anyway, if you're looking for the meeting room, it's in the library. This is the library, and the library is attached to the fellowship hall. And we have a couple of outside groups that use the church now. One of them is the Substance Abuse Prevention Council. They meet once a month. And then we also have TOPS, which is Taking Off Pounds Sensibly, which is separate from Weight Watchers, who meets here as well. Oh, it's dark. All right. And then finally, just a couple other spaces. Basically, the only thing I haven't really shown you is the office. And Oh, the parlor. The office used to be part of the parlor, so you have a beautiful office. They took the parlor and turned it into 2 restrooms and a parlor. The restrooms really needed to be upgraded. But this is what the parlor is now. In here is another kitchen. This is where I get my water to drink during the day, and this is where we set up communion. And most of the things that are stored in here are communion items and tablecloths and things like that. And then this is, all right, so you got the pastor's office. That's where your office will be. You have your own bulletin board that you can take care of, or you can turn it over to the secretary and she can decorate it. I like to put my own thing on it. And here is the office. That's our evidence we're getting ready for to come back together. We're gathering up the equipment we need. But you have some bookcases. You have a really nice desk, really nice chair. The computer will stay. That's a church computer. This, for people who come here to talk to you, you've got some chairs and a couch and table, more history. I've been doing a history project, and I'll have all this cleaned up before you get back. I've never used the fireplace. There were candles in it when I first came, so it's really just a decoration. But it is nice, and of course the top of it is a great place to put things. And then back here you have more bookcases, and then a whole bunch of team building equipment, which I will move out of here and put that in the youth area. We were just trying to make sure it didn't get mixed in with the preschool toys and things. And then this is the workroom. Folding of newsletters. Anytime we have a meeting and we decide to have it in the workroom, this is where you go. You've got the copiers. This is the old copier. This is the old copier. That's the new copier. We still use this one because it still works. And all we have to do is pay for toner. We don't have to pay for service on it anymore. And this one we use because it's the one that the computers send the things to. And our membership secretary, who is not an employee, she's a volunteer, Bonnie Bond, she uses this computer, and so does the youth director or the children's director. Melanie Geek is the children's director. So, or anybody who needs to use the computer, it's attached to the internet, it can print. So we have one there for them. So this is the things that you need if you like to keep things, personal things, cold. Refrigerator, microwave. And then over here is the receptionist's office. Our office administrator works in here, and she has her own space. It's a nice space. Mallory Anderson is the secretary, office manager. I shouldn't call her a secretary, but anyway, office manager. And she's a good person. She just started in October, and hasn't had a full year yet, so she's still learning as she goes. But she's a good person. If you need something done, she will get it done for you, and she's quite creative when it comes to publications and things. All right, I'm going to show you these anyway because you would eventually see them. But as I said, the parlor used to be huge, and we have some of the nicest bathrooms in church history. But you've got lots of space for women. Lots of space for women. And this doubles as an area that if we do have a wedding and the women need a place to change, then they go in there. And then you also have the men's. The men's is about the same. So you've got, 2 really large bathrooms. And this whole space used to be the parlor, which is unique, but in the fact that it was that big, and they managed to get 5 separate rooms out of it. This area here is where the bell choir rehearses. We have our music director is also a bell choir director. She enjoys leading the bells, and we have a large bell choir. Not everybody attends our services regularly, but the bells play quite a bit, so we get to see all the ringers on a regular basis. They usually rehearse and play from September through May, and in May we would normally have a Sunday that we call Music Sunday, which their music would be featured. So I'll just take you outside real quick so you can see the back of the building. And then if there's anything I missed you want a picture of, just let me know and I can take a picture. So parking lot, we don't have a lot of parking lot space, but we do have parking and we have enough for the number of people that come to church. The original building used to be over, if you look where that car is, just behind the car on that part of the lot would be where the original building was. And this is what when I say the education wing that was built in the 1950s is this part of the church. And up until that point, we just had this. If I get back far enough, you can see what it looks like from the back. But I don't know if I can because there's a steeple. And there we go, keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, I think so, there we go. So you get a picture of the height. There's an eagle, or that's actually a turkey vulture flying around. And there you have it. That is Main Street United Methodist Church. And I think that we are going to be really excited and blessed to have you join us.